Union of African States. And it's interesting, I heard my brother mention it, and I'm impressed because most of us do not know about that. That Nkrumah's vision was for a Union of African States, a UAS. They didn't even use what we normally say, a USA, because we didn't want to be like Babylon.
That's right.
You know, we didn't want to have the same initials as Babylon. So he flipped it. A union of, and you know, when you hear the word a union of African states, that's clear. It is a union of African states, not an association of unity. That's right. A friendly group. A unity of jokers. I'm sorry. It needs to be said. A union of African states that would have its own politics, that would have its own economics, that would have its own army.
That's right. Come on now.
This was what Nkrumah was about. So like I said, they sabotaged that, thinking they were sabotaging him. That's right. Not understanding that they were mortgaging the lives of millions of other Africans yet unborn. So, later on, was it in 2000, when did they change their name? When did they decide to change the name? 2002 or something, yeah. Around, I don't know. So they said, oh, we'll now change it to the African Union. But see, that's still a joke. Because it's like putting a plaster on cancer. That's what they're doing. Yeah. Putting a plaster on a cancerous wound. Joking. Because in essence, this AU is still an OAU. It's not a union. Because if it was a union, they wouldn't have been able to kill Gaddafi.
Right. Come on now. That's right. That's right. That's it. That's it.
They wouldn't have been able to kill Gaddafi. The Arab Union, can you imagine the nerve of it? That the Arab Union was able to give the go-ahead to murder somebody who is in the AU. And the people in the AU were so weak and pathetic. And I'm sorry, you know, we have to call names.
That's it, come on.
I will do it wherever.
That's it, that's it.
I like this lady.
Jacob Judas Zuma was one of the three who signed this, was it a UN resolution?
Yeah. That's it. Mm-hmm. Security Council.
The other joker was President Wade of Senegal. But look at what our ancestors did to him immediately. Took him off the scene. Yep. He lost in Senegal. And of course the third joker is the president of, you know, my own country, Mr. Bad Luck Jonathan.
Bad luck.
Yeah, bad luck.
Not good luck. Bad
Nothing
luck.
good luck about it. Bad Luck Jonathan signed this resolution to murder Gaddafi. And why Gaddafi? Because Gaddafi was attempting to bring back Nkrumah's vision of union of African states onto the agenda and was moving on to manifest it. But you see what imperialism did again? It brought another joker. So you see, they blocked Nkrumah by doing the coup against him, taking him off the scene. And because they couldn't take Gaddafi off the scene, you know, like the kind of nice coup that they did, they had to physically get rid of him. The same thing they did with Nkrumah, say, oh, in terms of Nkrumah's time, oh, he's a communist, he violated human rights, he did this and the other. So you see the same game they play with Gaddafi. Oh, human rights violations. It's the same tune over and over again. But you know what the tragedy is? We fall for the same trick over and over again. And this is the tragedy of us. And we must begin to look in the mirror at ourselves and our inherent weaknesses. Wow. That all over the world, we couldn't see that that attack on Libya was an attack on us.
Couldn't see it. Couldn't see it.
Not on Gaddafi, not on Libya, on us.
Yes.
And we fall for the tricks time and time again. Yes. But the reason why we fall for it is that we have no understanding of imperialism. We think it's just a color thing. So a lot of us, are saying, yeah, it's the white man against the Arab. It's got nothing to do with me as an African fool.
Yeah.
It's all about you.
That's right.
It's always been about you. This is the tragedy that we face. And of course, coming here to the United States, you have the, classical poster of neocolonialism.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
I was just going to say that, I don't know if you know the name. The name of the poster boy for 21st century neocolonialism is Barack Hussein the Bomber.
Yeah.
Barack Hussein the Bomber.
Was that
The Bomber Obama.
Yeah.
Obama the Bomber.
Yeah.
Do not agree.
When he's throwing bombs on us, on the continent, because of this lack of a global identity as Africans, in the diaspora, nobody makes any noise. Woo. Woo. When they're also murdering Africans here in America, on the continent, we make no noise. Why? Because we feel it's got nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So when they murder Trayvon Martins, and be very clear that Trayvon was killed because he's an African, not because he's American. Murdered because he's an African.
That's it.
That's right.
That we are not able to see. Can you imagine if we had a situation of global consciousness where when a Trayvon Martins is murdered, we surround the U.S. embassies on the continent and lock the place down? Do you think the court case would have gone the way it did?
Nope.
It's all about power.
That's it. That's it.
But we're not organizing for power. We're dancing around it. We pray about it. We sing about it. Some of us even read about it. The rest of us speak about it. Whoa, nobody's organizing for power. This is our challenge.
That's right.
That's
Beloved
our
Africans. This is our challenge.
That's right.
To begin to organize for power wherever we are. And a lot of times, some of us are very uncomfortable about some things. Like, me talking of Obama. They just gave imperialism a black face. That's all they did. Yeah. They changed the color of imperialism. If you're a painter, you're an artist, you can sketch. You can sketch in red, blue, green, purple, whatever color. So they just sketched it in black. And we bought the dummy.
Yep.
And we're so happy.
Yeah.
Got a black man in the White House. Woo! That's an excellent, visual.
It is.
Black man in the White House.
Yeah.
I hear people say, now I told my son he can aspire to be whatever he wants.
Yeah.
If your son is going to be the emperor of an empire that will murder me and my sons, your son is my enemy.
Yeah, that's right.
And the enemy of my people. If we're not bringing up our sons to be great Africans, to be people who will raise our race, raise us up as a people, elevate us, take us to the next level, then may you have no sons. Let's be clear, this is bottom line.
Wow.
It's not about sentiments. This is it.
Yeah.
Because our people are dying. You see, for me, when I think about these things, what I see, the stake, I see children who die from diarrhea. Little, tiny things that you shouldn't die, who die from stomach ache. Women die at childbirth, die for the most, the pettiest of diseases. Because of neocolonialism, because of imperialism.
Yeah.
We bury our people like you bury insects. That's the stake. That's what I'm talking about. And, you know, Africans on both sides of the Atlantic, or let me even say on all sides of the Atlantic, we're going to have to realize this. Because some of us, especially Africans who live in the so-called developed parts of the world, have developed a certain level of comfort that they want to keep at the expense of the rest.
Oh, yes.
Of the race.
Oh, yes.
And they do this by being on the side of imperialism. This is a painful discussion.
It's
painful. Needs to be had. It's about class now. And a lot of us, you know, would willingly be sellouts, you know, like the proverbial Judas. He took 30, what is it, how many, what is 30 pieces. We would take 3. One. Some of us will ask for 3, and if, you know, they batter, we'll even take 1.
Some of us will just take it for a pat on the shoulder.
Absolutely. Well, that's what they end up giving us. Not even a pat on the shoulder. After we've done the work, they give us a knock on the head. And I'm going to, you know, in some other thing, I'm writing something about, they're concrete examples. I'm not just, you know, speaking, they're very concrete examples where we've gone and we've done the knife work and we've done it so well. We're expecting a promotion.
Yeah.
And they kick our black backsides out of the room. And we turn around and say, oh, white man is racist. When did you realize it?
Yeah.
So there are lots of things that confront us, you know, lots of challenges that we have, you know, that we need to develop clarity. We need to develop a global perspective and, of course, organize locally. Because at the end of the day, all politics is local. Let me just quickly end up by saying this. You know, I look forward to having another time where we're able to dig deeper into things, you know, and be able to have, you know, to engage more. And to also begin to build, you know, close alliances and relationships across the Atlantic, you know, for you to know what we're doing, you know, to be able to support us, for us to also know what you're doing and be able to support you. So that when things are kicking off here, they're kicking off there. When they're kicking off there, they're kicking off here too, like it used to be.
That's right.
Right.
Like it used to be when we were clear that we are family. So let's stop talking about it.
Let's do it.
And start doing it. And, you know, I say all this to say just 3 things from our ancestors. Kwame Nkrumah says, organization determines everything.
That's it.
Not individualism like we have now. A lot of us believe in the Trinity, me, myself, and I. That Trinity does not work. Me, myself, and I, all 3 of you. That doesn't work. We've got to be part of organizations. We've got to be organized. The other ancestor I want to close with, I said there are 3, Nkrumah was the first, was Mbuya Nehanda from Zimbabwe. She was the chief priestess who used to mobilize the people for the Chimurenga. The Chimurenga was their war of liberation. Those were in the days when we used culture and spirituality as a weapon for liberation. Not as a crutch, not as Panadol for headache, but as a weapon for liberation.
Yes. Yes.
She would mobilize our people to fight. And that's how they won their first war of liberation. Mbuya Nehanda. You know what the British did to her? They skinned her, you know, like you skin an animal, before, you know, skinned her. But before they finished, you know, or even before they started, she said something to them. And you see, when they do that, they did it in openly, you know, with our people all out there. So our people would see, and to put fear into them that this is what we do to people who stand up.
That's right.
So she said to the people, and she told the British, this civilized, human rights loving British, skinned her like an animal. She told them, she said, my bones shall rise again. She told them, my bones shall rise again. Her bones will only rise through you and I.
Come on now.
That is the only way her bones will rise. Through us. And that's what she meant. My bones shall rise again. And finally, the eternal words of Marcus Garvey. And there are many of our great ancestors who've left us this powerful legacy for us to utilize, not just to talk about.
That's it.
It says, rise up, you mighty race, for you can accomplish whatever you will. Rise up, you mighty race, for you can accomplish what you will. Thank you so much for your time.